man, oh man. If you have been following this channel for a while, you know if I start the video laughing, you know it's a good chapter. And don't even act like I don't see it. You guys make fun of me all the time in the comment section saying I laugh too much. I get it. I laugh a lot, okay? Alright, stop making fun of me. In other news though, Black Clover Chapter 276, the unofficial release is out, and this was another 10 out of 10 chapter that I'm giving. Should I say more, or should we just end the video like that?
Boy, if you don't get...
Of course not. You guys already know I gotta put my head in deep into this chapter review. Pause. So let's talk about Black Clover Chapter 276, Boreas. So this chapter begins with the encounterment with Langris and Yuno versus Zenon. And Zenon, he is very stunned that Yuno is even alive. And he now realizes that the people that snuck in was not the Resistance army. He asks Yuno, how did you even survive? And Yuno lets him know that it was by the power of our captain. So huge shout out to William, because if it wasn't for William, we would have never got this spectacular chapter, this kind of event. Yuno would have been dead. So hashtag in the comment section, William did nothing wrong. Okay, I'm kidding. Don't do that. Do not do that. I don't believe it. Don't do that. Okay? Yuno then used a one attack immediately against Zenon, and it looks very much like the self-breath magic attack that she used against Catherine, but it's a much lesser form because this version was much more smaller, and it looks as though Yuno is using it himself without the help of Bell, so it seems as though Yuno's basic wind attacks definitely upgraded. Yuno then starts to discuss the way that Zenon's magic worked. He said that his bone magic is used for complete defense, even though Zenon also uses it for offense as well. So he's very versatile with his bone magic. His bones are overwhelming with fast regeneration speed, and Yuno talks about that most of his attacks, most physical attacks, will not work against Zenon. He's almost like the ultimate defense. In a way, his bone magic is all-purpose magic, just like Nozel, because Nozel's magic, his mercury magic, is known as all-purpose magic. However, in Zenon's case, that regeneration for his bone magic is ridiculous, especially for having two types of magic. And of course, Yuno's wind attack that he sent at Zenon cannot break through his bones. It does nothing. Zenon then says the darkest line he could have said in this chapter. He tells Yuno, "You could have lived longer if you held your breath and stayed still in your country." That's a cold line. Langris then responds saying that while I wasn't around, you messed around pretty much. I'm not the type of guy to just sit around and leave you alone. So it seems as though that cold line wasn't directly implied to Yuno, more so Langris, because Langris responded right after, or Zenon was just generalizing them both, pretty much implying to both of the characters. However, Zenon got some smack talk in him, so I love it. Langris then started using his spatial magic attacks to send out at Zenon, and man, who would have thought that Langris, spatial magic that erases all magic, gets halted like this? Zenon uses his own spatial magic to stop Langris' attack. However, the way he did this was the exact same way where he stopped Yuno. Remember in chapter 238 when he bodied Yuno by putting him in that cube, and everyone was wondering what kind of magic spell was that? Everyone was thinking like, did he have cube magic and whatnot? Because we all were confused at one point. But now we find out that that's a part of his spatial magic. He's able to create these little boxes of spatial to stop someone's attack. And the way that Yuno describes it, he calls it absolute space, and this is the power of his devil. He dominates the mana in the space of his spatial magic, which means that he interferes with the opponent's mana and makes a force out of it. Do you realize how broken that is? If you don't have more mana than Zenon, GG, you can't get out of that, which means that he can use your mana zone to his strength, to his advantage. You have to really overwhelm Zenon with mana, and there is not a lot of characters, we can say, with a high amount of mana that can just completely overwhelm everyone. It's not a lot of characters. So not only that his bone magic can be used for defense, but also his spatial magic. This man's defense awareness on 2K is overall 99. He has all those NBA 2K defense badges, you know what I'm saying? So like, this man Zenon is insane. Zenon then tells Langris that if I didn't exist, you would have been the strongest spatial magic user. And we all know this to be true. Langris is the strongest spatial magic user we've seen before Zenon. Like, of course, Finral, he's very strong with his spatial magic, but he's not on the level of Langris. We all know that, especially they use their magic in a different way. Langris then uses his spatial magic called Archangel Annihilation, which is pretty much Langris' ultimate defense, his auto defense spatial magic spell. About time he finally gave it a name. And that spell was very impressive from Langris because that spell pretty much erased Xenon's spatial magic as well. So kudos to Langris on that play. However, Zenon talked about that. I know that they sent you here to counter my spatial magic. Zenon then covers the entire room using a spell called Spatial Magic, Spatial Domination. The whole room is flooded with spatial magic. It looks like the one guy that was a part of the Item at Night Sun who used spatial magic different dimension sphere that cover up the entire water temple with spatial magic. So when I saw that this chapter, it immediately put me in a mindset of the guy of the Item at Night Sun when he used that spatial dimension spell. But we already know what Zenon just did. That is on a whole different scale. Because right after that, when Zenon used that spatial magic spell, Langris even talks about that it is almost impossible to maintain your magic here because you see that the spell that he used, the Archangel Annihilation defense spell that he used, is getting smaller. So within Zenon's presence, your magic is almost useless. Zenon then starts disrespecting William. He starts telling Langris and Yuno saying that just like your leader, you made a stupid choice. And because of that, you all are dying here, not being able to push me out. And right after that, Yuno said, let's go. And this is where we get the greatest Yuno chapter, the greatest Yuno moment ever I have ever read so far in Black Clover. Of course, there are going to be moments down the road, but so far, this is the greatest one. And Belle comes out screaming at Zenon saying, you bone bastard, how could you do that to us, me and Yuno? And if you notice, Belle looks a little older. Her face matured a little bit, and also, if you pay attention, she has an extra set of wings. You notice the little tiny wings that's behind her. She never had that before. She usually always have two big wings. Now she have an extra two, but they little tiny, they're little miniature wings. And then Yuno transform using Spirit Dive, but this wasn't your typical Spirit Dive form. This wasn't Spirit of Zephyr. The Spirit of Zephyr's sword wasn't there. He had a whole new sword and his form was completed. He had an extra set of wings. He had the full wings. Now he has two wings, a full crown. This man looking like a wizard king fairy, and he was holding an axe with a 4-leaf clover on it. This man looking angelic, like he looks like the angelic wizard king. Like this is, oh my God, this transformation. All right, let me calm down. Okay, let's break it down. When Yuno transformed, he said Spirit of Boreas. The reason why this is important because when he transformed the first time, we seen the sword, Spirit of Zephyr's sword. So Zephyrus is known as a god in Greek mythology who is known as the god of the west wind, and he has 3 other brothers. Boreas in Greek mythology is one of the brothers of Zephyrus. However, this Greek god is known as the god of the north wind in winter, and he's known for using an axe. This is what Tabata is referencing when it comes to Yuno's powers. So that means that there are 2 brothers left, the Greek god of the south wind and the Greek god of the east wind. You see what I'm doing here? 2 more weapons. Yeah, we're gonna say that for a whole different video. So while Yuno was in this form, Zenon started to use his bone magic to send out on Yuno. And Yuno blocks and just destroys everything that came his way. Zenon is noticing that he is dominating the mana of his spatial magic. Yuno overpowered Zenon's spatial magic domination spell with ease. Zenon then starts thinking to himself saying that he is dominating the space with greater power. No, he is getting loved by mana. We do know by the words of William that all the characters that were affected by the elves, that were elf possessed, they still have a little magic power of the elves that are within them. And we know that when it comes to Yuno, Yuno was possessed by Lex and Tetia's son. But of course, he's gone now because all the elves went back to the afterlife. However, though, it was told to us many times in the series, and it was stated that the elves are the only people that are known for being loved by mana. So it seems as though this power impact Yuno even more. And not only that, with his great talent of mana, he is on a whole different level. He is being loved by mana, just like an elf. And he was able to overpower Zenon. And then he just blitzes in front of Zenon, and his right eye looks like the magic stone that he wears. And we know that the only people that can access the true power of those magic stones are the elves. This might be a direct reference to it, unless Tabata drew in the eye too dark, or that is the magic stone. That looks exactly like the magic stone. And just like if you guys seen my video about Yuno versus Zenon, we talked about that magic stone will play a part in this fight, and it looks like it's happening. Yuno then started repeating the statements that Zenon said before. He said, "You all will be dying here not being able to push me out, was it?" And while Yuno is holding his axe to Zenon, it obliterates all of the bones and put a hole into his stomach. And right after that, Yuno said, who? And that was the end of the chapter. That is how you start a chapter and end a chapter. That was a solid 10 out of 10. We already know Zenon is going to get back up though, but man, that was so impressive. I'm so excited to see how Yuno is going to utilize his power even more. Man, this is one of my favorite chapters I read in a long time, a very long time. And I think Zenon is going to get up and tell you to subscribe to the channel for notification bells on. You guys have an awesome life. Take care of yourselves, and I'm out.